Hello everyone, back tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather next week, 10 days. In today's video, it's going to take us to around the 2nd of June. So we're going to go into the start of the new month with this update. Got some very warm weather on the way. I think it could turn hot, actually, over the weekend, or at the start of the weekend, and then probably a little bit cooler later on in the bank holiday weekend. I'll share everything that's going on. Right now, I'm going to start off with the central England temperature. It's updated, so when I did yesterday's sunny roundup, we included the central England temperature, but it hadn't updated for a few days. It has now updated provisional to yesterday. We stand at 11.8, an anomaly of 1 degree above average. I say that's provisional to yesterday. And there's a lot of warm weather to come. So actually, this could be another month where we finish up around 2 degrees above average. I wouldn't be surprised. I think this is going to rocket a little bit over the next few days, particularly as we get through to the end of the week and the weekend. The GFS temperature and precipitation ensembles show you the reason why I think the average temperature will be rocketing, because it's going to be very warm over the next few days. The red line here is a 30-year upper air temperature average. We are very substantially above average right now, but we're going to increase those temperatures even more. So by the end of the week, into the weekend, we're actually rising to around 15 degrees at 850 HPA. That is very warm, and it's enough probably by Saturday. It's enough probably to be lifting temperatures at least to be upper 20 Celsius. Maybe you wouldn't rule out 30 Celsius. 30 Celsius is 86 Fahrenheit, so it could get very warm, hot right at the end of the week. Then into weekend, the temperatures are cooling off, but not going cold at all, really. Just dropping a little bit, turning a little bit fresher. But overall, it looks like we're keeping the temperatures above average through into June as well. So that's June just there. And you see that the average of the ensemble, which is this white line just here, the ensemble mean, that's staying significantly above average even into June. For precipitation, the dry weather's coming back. So we broke the dry spell last week with some significant rain. But I hope you made the most of it if you needed it, because there's going to be loads of dry weather coming up the rest of this week. Into weekend, we may get some thundery showers, but nothing really substantial doing there. And into June, there are precipitation spikes, but you wouldn't say that's unsound at all. I mean, it's at the extended range of the model anyway, so it's unreliable. But certainly nothing definitive there into June for unsettled conditions. So dry and warm basically sums it up through the next few days. The temperature anomaly for the next week, this is going from the 22nd through to 30th of May, is coming out warmer than average for the UK and for most parts of Western Europe as well. The precipitation anomaly is coming out drier than average from the 22nd through to the 30th of May. So dry and warm, as I say, is the way forward, certainly for the next week. Over in America, it's quite cool, actually, through central and eastern parts of the states. It's warmer out in the west, but through the breadbasket and in towards the east of the states, it actually looks generally quite cool for the coming week. Precipitation also a little bit above average through the central and eastern states, midwestern eastern states, I suppose I should say. Whereas out in the west, it is quite dry. So it looks like it's turning drier over towards the Pacific side once again. Coming back closer to home then, this is the GFS for Friday. High pressure sitting in over the country. The air is coming up from a southerly southeasterly direction. That's very warm and probably quite humid as well. That lasting into Saturday. Notice the centre of that high pressure is moving towards Germany and Poland as we pull in these southerly southeasterly winds significantly warmer than average. Saturday will probably be the hottest day of this particular spell, where again I think 27, 28, 29 degrees will be widespread. That's into the low to mid 80s Fahrenheit. Possibly 30 degrees, 86 Fahrenheit, can't be ruled out somewhere like London on Saturday afternoon. But by Sunday, we are bringing in some cooler, fresher air. Now, there's a front here moving into this warm, humid air. That's where the front is lying at 6 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. That might be bringing in a risk of thunderstorms. Won't know until closer to the time, or it could just be a rather inactive cold front. The GFS keeps chopping and changing on this little bit. I think we'll know more by about Wednesday as to whether this is going to include thundery weather late Saturday into Sunday, or whether it's just going to be a weak front that cools the air down. Anyway, by Sunday we are into a cooler and fresher air mass, and then that takes us into Monday, Bank Holiday Monday, of course, which on this particular run of the GFS is looking quite pleasant, really. It's still got high pressure close to the country, but it's a cooler, fresher air mass coming in from the west or the northwest, and probably still mostly dry. Albeit there might be some showers up in the north. After that, though, running into towards the day 10 period, high pressure's coming back in again. Look at that. Got the bridge building back up from the Azores high, and then the high pressure just sitting there as we go through to the end of May, start of June. High pressure is dominating. One of the things we look out for to see whether we're going to get a warm or a hot summer is the Azores high, and whether the Azores high is in a move that wants to keep throwing up ridges, because that tends to be where our warmest summer patterns start from. It starts from the Azores high, throwing up a ridge continuously. The ridge then builds over and to the east of the country, often involves a Scandinavian high as well, especially by the time you get through to July and August, tend to get the pressure more sent over Scandinavia and get the wind into the east. But the first sort of indication we look for is whether the Azores high is ridging, or whether the Azores high is actually pulling out into the middle of the Atlantic and not throwing up any ridges. When it does that, often we have a poor summer. This year, the Azores high looks very ridgy, so I'm not guaranteeing that we're going to have a hot summer, but it does look like one of those scenarios where the Azores high is in a mood where it wants to keep throwing up ridges across the country. So that could be something to look out for when we do the summer forecast on Sunday. Finally, have a look at the east end again. So we've got high pressure dominating the weather on Friday. We go through into the weekend, pulling up these hot southerly southeast winds for Saturday. Sunday, bringing down cooler and fresher air from the northwest. Again, that might involve some sort of a thundering to do. We'll know more, I think, by Wednesday. And then into Bank Holiday Monday, we find the Azores high coming back in from the southwest again, albeit now the air is coming around the top of the high pressure from the northwest, so it is a cooler and fresher type situation. And then there's the ridge being thrown up by the Azores high as we go through to the end of May. Into the start of June, high pressure is dominating the weather once again. And you notice what I just talked about. So there's the Azores high throwing up the ridge on Monday next week. The ridge is building over the country from the Azores high on Tuesday. By Wednesday, the Azores high is sitting in over the top of the UK. And then by Thursday, day 10, the Azores high is beginning to shift over towards Germany, and the winds are being pulled up from the south-southeast, which is a hot wind direction. So that's the reason why the Azores high is always very important, determining whether we're going to get a hot summer, or whether, if the Azores high is centred in the middle of the Atlantic and not throwing up any ridges, we'll often have a cool summer. So it looks like we're going to be in for quite a warm spell of weather over the next few days. I think temperatures peak on Saturday when 30 degrees might be achieved somewhere in the southeast. That's going into mid-80s Fahrenheit, and that's really warm for the end of May. I think the May temperature record was set in 1944 and comes out at something like 32. So it looks like we'll fall just short of the all-time May temperature record, but 30 degrees in May is a very warm temperature indeed. After that, we probably turn things a little bit cooler and fresher through the second half of the bank holiday weekend, which might involve a bit of a thundery breakdown. We'll have to wait and see. And then next week, it looks like the Azores high will be throwing up another ridge, which probably brings us back into pretty dry and warm conditions. Right, that's all for now. Hope you found the video interesting. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.